Welcome, everyone. And I must be able to say welcome back, to our special guest today. And that is none other than Dr. Steve Sughrim. In our last deeply moving conversation with Dr. Steve, we explored what he called his silent season. We talked about his trials, of 2024, 2025, the profound grief of losing his mother, and the divine protection that guided him through it all. So, Dr. Steve Sugram, welcome today. And the floor is going to be hot today. But I just want to touch on something special because you ended that conversation by saying you were back, bigger, stronger, clearer, and ready for 2026. So I'm looking forward to hearing more about what that clarity has done for you, what it looks like. So just to bridge the gap for our audience, how did that season of intense refinement directly fuel the massive explosion of vision and execution we are seeing from you now?
Yeah, well, hey, Prophet Lovemore, thank you, for the segment here and a follow up from our last live we did. I was really anticipating this. Yeah, as one do a live and then you have time to reflect after the fact. You always feel like there's pieces you've left out, of the conversation from the first one. For me, looking back at the journey, and I'll call it the journey because truly that's what this is about. Is about a journey. Spiritual beings in the earth realm, occupying this human form, if you will, right? And it's all about the mission. It's always about the vision. It's always about I will say destiny because we're on this destination with a blueprint with divine orders, if you will. And so I look at my life from the very beginning of time that I could recall from a young person, and looking back at, some of the, I would say, spiritual downloads that occurred, right? And then just really going through that process throughout time, which I shared on the last video. But for me, it's really, where it was an eye opener for me is a lot of times we mean well. A lot of people intend, good and want to do good for humanity and for their fellow human beings. But not everyone, in our circle are have the same heart or the same intent. A lot of them are in it to see what really they can get, and that's all they're in it for. But not to see how they can help or help expand that vision or be part of that vision. And I've experienced that. I've experienced that with many ventures. But that just shows me, Prophet Lovemore, that when God places something in your heart and He gives you a vision, in a way it's contended. There'll be a lot of resistance. There'll be a lot of challenges. There'll be a lot of dark days, right? Questioning yourself, did I really hear from God? But I'm here to tell the audience too. Trust me, you have, and these are the times in your walk with God and birth and a vision that He's with you when the resistance come, the challenges come, the oppositions are there in front of you. And so that was a big part of my journey, And what I'll need you to help me do, Prophet Omar, as we go through it, because we did the last segment. And Charmin, anytime, because when I talk, and I talk to vision, and I can just like go off, and just
Yeah, of course.
so I'll come in, right? There's just so much, and I could sit here for 3 hours and just talk the vision. You know me, so
Yeah,
so if I go off course, just reel me back in, because I'm really
yes.
excited. I mean, I've been anticipating this follow up live from the first live. So your specific question was to me what?
You actually touched on it.
Hmm.
My question was like, you know, um, how has been the journey since the last time that we spoke, and how has it brought a certain level of clarity? Because, I'm privileged to be with you, the time,
Hmm.
that people know what exactly you are doing. But well, I'll make sure that today our audience get to understand and see things deeper than what they see, you know. But I want to touch, come back to that part that you mentioned so that we really make sure that that doesn't, skip us, because you mentioned the issue of betrayal and discernment.
Hmm.
So trusted people try to sabotage, discredit, and distract,
Yes.
and you describe them as wolves in sheep's clothing. Can you go a little bit deeper with that so that we can be able not only to give context to that, but also for people who've been waiting for you for a very long time in an explanation of what really happened? I know there's a couple of people, when they see you going live, they're like, oh, wow, where has this man been? It's been a couple of years since we last heard from him. And I think today is the day that you can be able to shed more light on that so that
Yes.
we can be able to have our audience move together on one page.
Yeah, exactly, and that's a good point. In the journey and giving birth to visions, right? And this is what I came to realize as part of that experience. I'll call it, in business and your circle, which is very very important. And let us be, words of wisdom, to the viewers out there, in that you have to be ever so careful who is in your inner circle, whose voices are in your ear advising you, right? Who Solomon, when asked for from God, what would you like? Solomon, he asked four things. He asked for wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and discernment. you know and we have to make sure when God gives us the vision, each individual, you, whoever you are, and without shadow of doubt, God gave you this vision, this mission, this idea, whatever it may be. You have to guard it, and be careful who's in your camp, because not everyone that smiles in your face and walk in the name of quote unquote God, or Christianity, or any type of faith for that matter, or religion, walks in love, in true unconditional love, like the love Christ walked in, right? And so discernment, that fourth ingredient that Solomon asked for, we have to walk in spiritual discernment, so that way we are detecting, um, you know, the wolves in sheep clothing before they even get close to you, to protect yourself and to protect the vision. And that's the first and foremost concern, and should be for any visionary that's out there. Anyone that's opening a business, writing a book, inventing something, whatever it may be, they have to be very, very careful. But for me, my journey was that many people in my camp really, um, whether it be sabotage, ambush, just came with the wrong heart in the name of quote unquote, Christianity. Really was an experience for me, right? So going through that, and then of course you had mentioned mom. My mom passed away last year. That in itself really, really took its toll on me, and it gave me a different perspective. After mom passed, and it took, I don't know, about 4 months to get through that grief
Yeah.
process, all that, and then just to kind of reconnect, right? Just to reconnect spiritually, find my foundation, find my ground again, find direction again. And it took between, I would say even from July to the end of the year, 6 months, in really fasting, praying, seeking, meditating. I know, and I knew what the vision were, right, and is, but I had to kind of regroup and say, okay, Lord, what exactly now for the new year? Because I was planning for 2026, the year we're in now. What
Yeah.
exactly do you want me to do? Meaning, because I've often, you know, um, pray and wait for this spiritual download of blueprint, if you will, right? Just spiritual direction on where to go and how to go. And so that's what I've been, uh, in those 6 months doing and waiting until I finally found, I got the download of direction. So yeah, so that's, kind of like that journey then, and to mom passing, and then the 6 months of just recalibrating and finding quote unquote me again, if you will, because I felt like
Yeah.
loss, in the process of everything happening in the 2 years, almost really didn't, recognize me, almost like I wanted to go and just, go in a cave somewhere and just, chill by myself and forget the world. And honestly, I'm quite sure many of the audience, many of the viewers probably feel that way at times when, you cross paths with people that you thought would be there for you, the ones that who say we got your back and then turn around, they really got your back, but they got a dagger waiting, right?
Yeah.
To stab you in the back, and many people have been through that. But I'm one of those stories where by just not giving up, just as long as you've heard from God and you are walking in that path that you're being directed. And faith. I often talk about Hebrews 11:1, and we can't please God without faith. Faith without action is dead. We talk about a lot of these, but I apply all of this in my life. In this journey to just encourage myself that for me, it's stopping and then looking back at all the times that he showed up, meaning God showed up in my life supernaturally, right? And times
Right.
when I just sit there and like, how did this just happen? And you just knew that,
Mm.
right? Matter of fact, just this morning, I drove up to the gravesite to go, as I go there and pray in the mornings and talk to mom. Um, I get emotional when I think about this. But talking about God being there for you, I remember many times on my journey in life when I wasn't even walking with God per se, but I knew He was with me. But you know what I felt? I felt Mom's prayer, and I knew she was praying. You know,
Yeah.
yeah. Knew it. I felt it. That this situation I was in or was about to face, there was a 360 turn on it,
Turn
and
around.
I just felt it. I knew it was her. So the power of prayer, right, is what I'm getting at.
Mm.
When intercessory interceding for someone, know that God hears you. And you may not know why you're interceding for someone, but you're like literally saving them from something, right? And so that power, and feeling that power. So I just stop and I look back at all those times that God showed up when there was no answers, and that kept me going. That kept me going. That was like my strength, knowing that He was with me every step of the way. Like it's like the footprints in the sand. If you ever saw that poem, right? There was two sets of foots, and then it was a time of immense trouble or whatever it may be in life challenges, that all of a sudden you saw one footprint, and you may think, well, that's your footprint, right? But in reality, it was the Lord's footprint carrying you, in those seasons of whatever it may be. And so I'm always reminded of that as well.
Wow. Yeah, and that's very important, especially to be able to know how to interpret, you know, the season when your scars have healed. And in our last conversation, you mentioned that you're now, even much more grateful for life. When you pass through a lot of stuff like what you have, you see things differently. Life has got a different meaning, and you're grateful. And I must say that I've seen the smile on your face at different times. And how is it like to walk in a new season, where your vision is refreshed, it's renewed, and you really have something to look for for example, in 2026?
Yeah, as I stepped into 2026, all the preparation, from 25, I stepped in with a heart of expectation. Everything that God showed me that I knew, I had to take time literally to sit down and write it all down. You remembered, everything was just drawn out on a piece of paper, and we created this nice little schematic for it. Because I'm one that, in terms of manifestation, I have to see it. I'm a visual person, and when I see it, it's just like God saw the end from the beginning and spoke everything in existence, right? And He said we were
Right.
created His image and His likeness. So I apply a lot of that in my everyday, walk, personal and business, because it works, and I've manifested so many things. Matter of fact, we'll talk about it later. But these spices right here was from applying that exact same principle that God gave us
Yeah.
as a blueprint. But for 2026, after I made the vision clear, and that's scriptural too, right? Habakkuk said, "Write it down, make it clear." But it's for an appointed day, and that appointed time now is here, and the season that we're in, with open heavens, is a season of where things are happening for a lot of people around the world, as it is for me. I call it quantum speed, right? The speed of heaven, speed of thought. Things are just unfolding in just amazing ways.
Yeah.
And this new era, this new journey, it's with purpose, it's with passion, unstoppable passion. It's with clarity. It's with just um, a no stop, no attitude, right? Just do it attitude and making things
Right.
happen. Because time. I realize. You mentioned how things changed for me after mom passed, and I realized, wow, tomorrow is not promised. We're here today, and we have to make the best of our moment, our present. The past is the past. We can't do nothing about the past, right? It's just a memory now to us. And the future is just a dream, right? It's ahead of us. But we have today, we have the present, and each day we have to be so efficient with time. We hear a lot of people talk about time management. We can't manage time. There's 24 hours in the day, regardless for every human being on the earth. Whether you sleep 8 hours, 10 hours, you're productive, you're non-productive, whatever you do, you can't manage those 24 hours. But you can be efficient with the time that you allot to yourself or to your project or whatever it may be, and be efficient with that time, right? And if we operate each day with a mindset that today could be my last day, and it is for many people around the world, today is their last day, and we start thinking that way, that tomorrow is not promised. So take the day and live in the present, right? Call your loved ones and just say, hello, I love you. Do things that are meaningful and purposeful in the day that you have, in the moment that you live in. And that was that shift and that change for me, is maximizing time, maximizing being efficient with time, and doing exactly those things. Like I said, I did a couple of teachings not long ago on, preparation and execution. For us, we have to create what we call personal systems, right? Just for our own personal daily life, to break old habits, but also to create new habits, to be functional and to get ahead in life, and how we could collapse time by these little systems that we create. And these are some of the new, Prophet Love, some of the new downloads and a new direction. And there's even more to all this newness of me that I'm quite sure, talk about here. But the new, I just want to touch on the systems for people that are watching, and this is really important. A lot of times we say we're going to do things, we're procrastinate. A week might go, a month might go, and we still haven't done the things we say we're going to do. We write goals now, we don't hit those goals. But if we create little systems, like, I don't know, adjust your morning, you get up and you change your routine, and you do it for 4 or 5 days, it becomes now a habit, right? And we create these systems by creating new habits, and eliminating old habits, so that way each individual truly can get ahead in life with whatever it is they need to get ahead in life with.
Yeah. And those systems really do give you, a greater leverage to being effective. And it's true, like what you say, that tomorrow is not, promised to anyone. And
And
talking
talking
about
about tomorrow,
tomorrow not being promised to anyone, you know, it will be something, especially for those who have not been following you on your social media platforms. And I just want to take this time as well to say, if you want to really know everything that's happening in Dr. Steve's life, you need to make sure you follow him on TikTok. He's also on YouTube, he's on Instagram, and of course, live here
yeah,
on
on
Facebook. You were in Dubai, and you were there during a period of intense
global
global tension, specifically right before, the geopolitical
political
escalations and bombings involving Iran, Israel, and the US. And
Mhm.
I think there is something that is incredibly symbolic about being in a
in
city known for
for
impossible architecture and vision, while the world around it felt so volatile.
volatile. Mhm.
What was the purpose of that trip? And what did you experience in that atmosphere that shifted your perspective?
Yeah. So in order for me to talk about Dubai, there's a couple things actually I want to share my screen, but also to add something. We were talking about in the last few years. One thing about me, probably a lot more, even from the past. My heart intentions are always to make wrongs right, okay, and to make
Right.
sure that I'm always doing the right thing, and to know that because for me it's important that uh, you know we operate in integrity, and I always talk about this, right?
Yes.
Like I mentioned, we could have all the best intentions if we have people, which I call wolves in sheep clothing, show up in your circle to disrupt the good you're trying to do. It really leaves a scar, and it leaves um, a stain, if you will. And so, but we have
Yes.
to clean all that up. We have the scar's got to heal, of course, which it has, and we have to clean up all that stain, right? To be white as snow again, right? We've heard that.
Right.
So I wanted to share that, but also I needed to share in talking about Dubai trip the download, because we talk about download. I talk about ecosystem, but I'd like to show it actually, and this will help lay the foundation for the Dubai trip. So let me see if I could figure out how to do this here. I apologize. It's been a while since I've actually been. You may have to help me, Prophet, a little more. How do I share my screen here?
It should be
I think.
present.
Okay, you know what? Uh, we it should be present. Okay, present. Hang on, guys. I oh here we go. Present. Invite a guest. Share your screen. Okay, I got it. Here we go.
Awesome.
All right, I got it. Share entire screen. All right, I'm going to share the entire screen, and I think. And now you tell me now if you're seeing my screen. I don't know if you're seeing.
Okay, let me edit to stage. There we go.
Are we seeing? I don't think we're seeing it yet.
Yes, it's there.
Okay, it's coming up. I think there was a delay. I was actually watching on my other
Oh,
screen. Okay, great. There we go.
oh, yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's I see it's showing up us three and that. Okay, I see how it's showing. Okay, not a problem. We could work with this. Okay. So Prophet Lamo, you asked me about a download, and so this right here, was a download that actually I received, and it was billing out this ecosystem, in this new financial lifestyle ecosystem, if you will, with a whole banking platform, and with a crypto debit card, and education, e-commerce, travel, and tokenization of real estate was one part. Which I received this download back in 2017. How we could literally tokenize acts of kindness, how we could literally tokenize. I mean, pretty much anything. 2017, Prophet Love More, I was talking about this. Now it's
Yeah.
possible, and that was a big part of the Dubai trip. So let me go back now to share. So when I was in Dubai, it was really it was really an eye experience. It was really eye opening for me. What really came out of that was going to actually meet with some of the top developers. This here right here is a ZZ Development in Dubai. They're one of the largest development firm in Dubai. But the last time I was in Dubai, I met, not purposely. This was a more purpose-driven trip here. But when I did meet with them, when we crossed paths, they were talking about the fact that Dubai literally, they're building a new Dubai all the way from where Dubai ends in the south all the way down to Abu Dhabi, and there's a lot of opportunities for real estate there and different types of investment in Dubai. And I was like, wow, okay, I had to leave, and I said, well, I'll make a trip back and we'll talk. So so this was my trip there. We were looking at all the different options, all the new built out. They're building out. This is the new Palm. It's three sides of the original Palm right there, and and I met some amazing people while I was on that trip. This was this was me actually walking through and looking at some of the schematics and the different layouts, different properties that they had. Fast forward. So is easy. This one is one of the largest development in Dubai right now.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And I met some amazing people. Of course, this is some of the properties out there that are currently existing. So I wanted to share that, to lay the foundation for from where we are. So let me see here. You're gonna have to help me navigate out of this right here. Okay, there we go. We're back. So I had to show the ecosystem to come back to the Dubai trip. It was just an amazing trip. Now, the tokenization of real estate was one of the reasons that I went there, one of the main reasons I went there. But then, since those conversations from years past, I was actually up in, it's called Post River, up in
Mm.
Idaho. And one of my friends, she had 100,000 acres of land up in the mountains, beautiful land out in God country, man, with uh,
Wow.
being with streams and it just it was so beautiful. And she had offered it then, right? That she was very picky on who would acquire land on her property. And she had called me several times and said, hey, the land is available. And at that time, I wasn't in space to acquire. But fast forward, what I'm saying is, whether it be here in the U.S., it be in Dubai, it be wherever, the whole idea of tokenization of real estate, it's real. Now I understand how easy and how simple, and it's part of our ecosystem that we're building out. Now, the other part about Dubai, which you brought up, by the grace of God, I left a week before everything that you see is happening started.
Wow.
Exactly. I couldn't be ever more grateful, for God having my back and protecting me in the way He did. Because it would be a different story had I stayed a week later.
Yeah. And yeah, we wouldn't be here
Yeah,
today,
hey,
you know. And
and
you know,
you know,
just talking and looking at that ecosystem, you can tell that there's something that is very, very special uh,
uh,
right there. But I want us to really just look at that a little bit, the
mm,
Dominionaire ecosystem. For those who might not fully grasp the multitude and the magnitude of this, what exactly is the Dominionaire ecosystem and what is the foundational problem that it solves?
sure. So for me to share that, I have to go back now, and when you ask me questions, I always have to go back to the origin of, right, what I have to
Mm,
say to bring more context to what I have to share. So I would have to look at you know the download I got back in 2015,
mm,
early as 2012 actually, with a name, One Vision, One
yes.
Heart, and not knowing what that was all about. And then 2015, started getting these different downloads year after year, meaning crossover from 15 to 16, 16 to 17, and 17, into 18 with these different downloads and seeing different countries and seeing people, their faces, and didn't quite understand what all that meant. It wasn't until 2017 that all actually came to uh, I would say to more clarity, where all of a sudden now, God showed me what that was all about, what One Vision Heart was all about. It was about transforming lives around the world, making an impact in communities around the world, and the journey started, in Pakistan with, helping, turn off the streets and providing education through the School of Living Hope, to feeding 800 families in the Philippines in the heights of the pandemic, to being in South Africa. Well, we, fed about 500 families, I think, early part of 22 or 23. And then towards the end of the year, I had the ability, once, all the travel restraints was lifted, and, was there with you. And we visited, 5 communities, spoke to the people and really blessed them. And then, of course, here in the U.S., we did a Youth Impact Day in Atlanta, Georgia. And there's other countries yet where to make an impact, but that was the vision. And I remembered, and I shared this I was at Forbes Riley FredEx, and I think we'll talk about that later, and shared, that specific testimony. But I remembered, God gave me the vision, right? We've got to go and help and impact and empower and feed and do all these different things, and basically share the unconditional love of Christ. Right? That's what it was all about.
Right.
Sounds great, Lord. I'm with you. You gave me the vision. I'm gonna get out there. Started sharing the vision, right? Because I needed money, obviously, to feed all these people, to do the things that God said I was to do. A few people helped me here and there, but not to make the impact that He showed me. And I literally had to go
Yeah.
back and say, "Hey, you gave me this vision. I'm sharing the vision, but no one seems to like grasp the vision. So what do I do?" And that's when, He gave me he started just downloading ideas. Let's just put it that way. Ideas after ideas, blueprints for different financial type systems, which I started building clear back in 2017. Now I started writing out schematics for these. Today we call them white paper, right? Wrote out
Right.
about one, two, three, four different white papers of different concept of how we could utilize Web3 technology to make an impact in humanity. And so these systems I started building ever since then, 2017. Some I had to put on the back burner, some I relaunched, but all of it was for the purpose of creating a financial engine, right? It would be a
Right.
financial mechanism to where a percentage now goes back into the One Vision One Heart Foundation to make an impact in humanity, to continue expanding on the school in Pakistan, to continue to work in the Philippines. In fact, even now as we speak, we're going to be helping rebuild a lot of schools actually in rural areas. In Pakistan, we got almost 300 children that we have now to expand the school. We have to get books and get uniforms and get a lot of things to help them. South Africa, we've got a lot going on there right now that we have to expand upon, which we'll share later on with everyone as we get closer to that. Take India. I haven't done anything in India. We already started helping India in building churches and acquiring homes for single females and different projects there. So the work continues, right? So this is where now, when God gave me that blueprint that I just showed you, these systems that I'm creating is going to generate the finances now to continue that work and expand that work that God has given me and making an impact. And more importantly, it's about sharing the unconditional love of Christ to humanity, right? One thing that always comes to mind, and I always share it with people, there's a story in the Bible where many came to him and said, "Lord, we did all these things in your name. We prophesied, we raised the dead, we did this, we did that," and they list out all their accomplishments. And he said, "Get away from me! I don't know you." And they're like puzzled, like, "What are you talking about, Lord?" So look, when I was thirsty, you didn't give me anything to drink. When I was hungry, you didn't feed me. When I was naked, you didn't clothe me. When I was in prison, you didn't visit me. And I added one, when I was homeless, you didn't put a roof over my head. Right? And they were like puzzled. Well, what are you talking about? And he said, "Look, the least you did unto these, you did unto me." So if we understand the power of the unconditional love of Christ, we will understand Gandhi, Mother Teresa. We will understand, Nelson Mandela. We'll understand Martin Luther King Jr. We will understand all these greats that have brought change to the world, right? They were selfless. They were given. They were expressing the love of Christ in a greater way, in a tangible way, in a way that it made an impact in history and in humanity. But they echo throughout history, as marked as someone that served humanity. Not being served, but they would have served, and they're the one out there washing the feet, as Jesus did. So this is where the whole purpose and the mission is all about these systems. Now people are getting blessed with these systems, don't get me wrong, but now not only are they getting blessed, now we're building out a global ecosystem where a percentage is going back into the ecosystem. So essentially they're indirectly still blessing and making an impact and getting blessed back. So it's a full circle in this DominionHeir global ecosystem that we're building out. And this year we've got 3 projects that we're launching. I'm very excited about it. And then we've got many projects on the horizon for One Vision, One Heart. And then I'm most excited about this whole new frontier of tokenization of real estate and the direction we're going in with that. And as
Yeah.
well, as we enter this whole era of Web3 technology, and we're hearing more and we're hearing more, because the mainstream media has no choice but to, talk about it. Why? Because even here in the United States, it's a thing. I mean, we already have the Genius Act passed. The Clarity Act is waiting to get passed. We got a Bitcoin reserve here now. AI is in the forefront. A lot of innovation just right here in the United States. But we look at countries like Dubai, that are innovating countries in South America. We look at China, that's pretty much 100% cashless society. Everything's done through an app. Digital currency is, paving the way for the future. So though we are in the infancy stages of this whole Web3 era, this blockchain technology era, this cryptocurrency era, and now we're hearing about DeFi, which is a whole nother space that's carving out in the whole scheme of Web3 technology. So it gets exciting. And so the download since 2017 has been actually systems, preparing for the future. And that's why I did a post about Nikolai Tesla, that he died a sad man. Why? Because the download that God gave him was so advanced for his time. Today, we're using his technology. Today, we're using his inventions. Today, we're actually living out the Tesla's vision in practically many of our own inventions, right? Look at a Tesla car. We look at Wi-Fi. That's all part of his invention. That's part of his vision that God gave him back in his day, And I was getting these in 2017 for now a day like this. 2017 to now, that's what, 9 years? Yeah, 9 years later. Only now is all of it coming to fruition. Only now is it all manifest, and only now is it all coming alive, right? But again, like Habakkuk, write it down, keep it plain. It's from the point in time. That appointed time has come for me and for what God has shown me that would come in the future. And it's a beautiful thing. And I'm very excited to just see, how things are going to unfold, how it's going to change lives that are part of our community, the DominionHeir lifestyle community, because it's going to change lives. And we're doing something just so amazing, so different, so futuristic. You could probably probe me and I may tell you, but yeah, that's what's going on.
So true, so true. And I just want to, tie in this video for our audience who might not have seen it, but of course for you it's a pleasant surprise. But you know how I love to surprise you sometimes. But I just want to come to the point where you're talking about smart wealth, especially and how, especially as believers, how we need to understand that there is a higher dimension where we
Yes.
can be able to execute our visions without
Mhm.
having to beg anyone for
Mhm.
money. I
Mhm.
strongly believe that one of the graces and anointings upon your life is to make sure that the body of Christ stops begging for donations and begins to operate at a higher dimension, because you don't have the time, but you are building systems that can be able to really, really make this a reality. I want to play this video and we'll
And
come
come
back
back.
and talk about that right now.
Well, hello everyone. My name is Steve Sughrim, and it's an honor and a pleasure to share my story with you. How many of you here, in yourself know there's more to life than what you live in? Know that there's more to you than what you're experiencing. That there's a God in you there's just that something, you just don't know what, and you can't put your hand on it. Well, at age 15, living in St. Croix in the U.S. Virgin Islands, that's when I realized there was something different about me. Didn't know what it was, but I knew there was just something different. And so my quest started, moved to Florida, lived for about 2.5 years, and then relocated to the state of Washington. It was then that I realized, the success I achieved in the corporate world wasn't fulfilling that nudging, that urge within. Well, at age 36, I died. I had a heart attack. Now, I didn't go to heaven. I didn't go to hell. I didn't see lights. I just heard a voice said, "It's not your time yet." And that's when I knew that I knew I was here with a divine plan, a divine purpose. And I remember the cardiologist saying, "Steve, you're a lucky young man." I said, "No, doc, I'm a blessed young man." See, he didn't know what I just heard. And so, I still didn't have clarity what this was all about. And it wasn't until about 2015, I started getting visions. I would see myself in different countries. And it's like, I still didn't understand that. But in these visions, I would see the eyes of the people and the anguish on their face. I was like, So then it became clearer and clearer. I'm to make an impact in whatever way I can make that impact. So I went back to God and I said, God, it's going to take money to make the impact that I'm called to make. And then started getting downloads of business ideas, financial systems that I could build. Because what the problem I had was I couldn't get people to help me. Even though there was a need and it was obvious, and I made it obvious, people just didn't want to help. And so these financial systems that I built, gosh, it created thousands of millionaires around the world. It blessed tens of thousands of lives financially. But what was most important about that was it allowed me to take over 100 children off the streets of Pakistan and create a school called School of Hope for them. Because education is a weapon. That's what Nelson Mandela said, And they didn't ask to come into the world and be tossed on the streets. It allowed me to, in times of the pandemic, to feed 800 families, 600 children in the Philippines. These were the Balang tribe, forgotten by the government. Fast forward South Africa in 2023, it allowed me to actually feed over 500 families, meet with the Zulu king, and propose a community transformation that would empower them. So, many of you here, and then also in just right here in the U.S., in Atlanta, we did a Youth Impact Day with the inner city youths, boys and girls, to give them hope in the future. So the systems really helped in making this all possible, simply because, it takes money, right? It's a tool here on earth to accomplish the things we want to accomplish. And so, I would say to you, if you feel stuck, if you know there's more in life for you, okay, just surrender it all. I mean, what I mean by that is, okay, a good manufacturer creates this product, but also comes with an operating manual, right? And how to operate that product. Each one of us came with an operating manual, which is a blueprint. So I would say and suggest surrender all. Go back to the Creator for your personal blueprint, for your personal purpose while you're here on earth. You were sent with a divine plan and divine purpose to make an impact on lives of many. You may not know what it is now, but if you turn the noise off in your head and just quiet down enough so that blueprint can download into your spirit, you'll get clarity for your life and the impact you're to make and why you're here on this planet Earth. So with that, I just want to say thank you. My name is Steve Sughrim, and it was a pleasure sharing my story with you.
Well, that was a pleasant surprise.
That was, yeah, that was that was a pleasant surprise indeed. But it's very important because people tend to lose, focus, and they end up going out building something that God did not intend them to build. And for you, since day number one, you understood that it's a it's just a handful of people that understand visionaries. And one of the greatest frustrations of any man, any woman out there, any businessman, any entrepreneur or pastors, apostles, bishops who really want to do things out there, the number one thing that they will always be known for, if they're not careful, is to beg, to ask, to plead, to send letters, to ask for provision. But God blessed you and graced you with the ability to receive these financial blueprints. And it comes in a very supernatural way. And right now, you've been teaching and you've been demonstrating and building some powerful, smart wealth systems, which I can just hint that they're just around the corner. What are you building? And can the people be able to benefit from the downloads that God is giving you in this time and in this season to produce smart wealth? And maybe for someone who's hearing that word for the first time, smart wealth, what does it mean to have a system that produces smart wealth?
Yes. No, absolutely. For people to benefit, it's always been any system that I've created. It's always been for the benefit of the people, for the benefit of creating financial wealth. I mean, I look at any system I build as a vehicle, and that vehicle is to help one get to their destiny in life, right? Financially. Because the reality is, man, I mean, we all want to be financially free, right? Because with financial freedom brings what? Time freedom. With time freedom gives you the flexibility, the ability, and the capability to do the things that God has called you to do in life, or your personal
Right.
He say He'll bless you with the desires of your heart, right? Many people, I often quote the great Miles Monroe. He said one of the richest place on planet Earth is a graveyard. Why? Many people go to the grave without writing their books, their inventions, the great thinkers they were called to be. All the inventions and ideas God placed away, and the gifts God placed in them, right? They went to the grave. Why? Because maybe they didn't have enough money. Maybe someone talked them out of it. Maybe they didn't have self-confidence. Who knows? Various reasons, right? But I do know this is that if I could help people become financially free by the vehicles, or I call them vehicles, that I'm creating, they could hop into and get there, then that puts them in position to where now they do have the time to do this. So all the systems that have been created have been doing so. Now you said something that I do want to point out in these smart wealth systems that I'm creating, right? Is if we stop to really understand, for example, the whole Web3 world, right, and what's possible. I hit a little bit on decentralized, and many people now, across the globe, here in the U.S. too, is starting to hear more about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, and because the media now is highlighting it, right? What's going on in the
Right.
market, cryptocurrency, and what's going on in the U.S. with the Bitcoin reserve, and all this talk that's happening in media across the world. And so now it's got their attention, right? Where maybe in 2017, when I was talking about it, was like, oh yeah, whatever, that's a scam, or that's whatever, that's the future. Here we are now in that future where it's going mainstream, right? The banking, what we're going through this global shift, this earthly shift, a paradigm shift, literally is taking place as we speak, right? Because I talked a little bit last time in some of the training I did about the era of Web 1 to Web 2, and we're into Web 3. Web 1 was, where was the birth of the World Wide Web. We started hearing about the internet, and if you knew and had knowledge of it, you would understand how to capitalize on it, how to position yourself for that trend when it took place. Many of us really just use the computer as a giant, a glorified typewriter, or a big screen a digital screen we could read newspaper or something like that. That's all it was really good for. It wasn't much interaction. But the people that knew started learning how to build websites, because that was like the main asset at that time was a website, right? And they were charging like 10, 20, 30, $40,000 back then to build websites. Now, there were other very clever ones who realized, well, wait a minute, this internet, people are going to need domains. That was like your new digital address. Like you have a physical address in the physical world. That was like your digital address was a domain. And they started buying domains and reselling domains. And they made millions doing that, right? Because they saw the future. I remember one story, kind of funny though. This guy bought BillGates.com and tried to sell it back to Bill Gates for $1 million. Well, I mean, everybody knew Bill Gates. Why would I want to buy my own name from you for $1 million, right? But point being, but those were savvy, entrepreneurs, right? But that was that era. And then we went into Web 2. And all of a sudden we started hearing about the cloud and the cloud and the cloud. And, we jumped into this era called cloud computing. And that was the birth of Google and Facebook, and everything went into the cloud, and we could interact now, we could post, we could do things. Well, again, the ones who understood that transition and positioned themselves became millionaires and multi-billionaires, right? So what am I saying? We are now in the era of Web3 technology, guys. We are literally in it, and it's called decentralized computing. Okay. And we have to learn, we have to listen, we have to not be afraid of it. All of a sudden, we're hearing about AI technology, like it just showed up out of nowhere, right? Like it fell out of the sky, this AI technology, and everything is AI now. But no, it's been around for years. It's just the time came for it to introduce itself, right? And I see we got a little guest there. Yeah. So, time for it to introduce itself. And so, here we are now. Okay. And we're in this world of Web3. We're starting to hear about blockchain. There's a greater awareness of it because of media now and everything that's trending on social media. And we've heard about the Bitcoin millionaires took place back, in the early stages of Bitcoin. But guys, right now, with what I'm creating, okay, and my advice to everyone is to learn. The Bible says that, a people group perish for what? A lack of knowledge. Get the knowledge if you don't understand it. Don't be afraid of it, okay? Because if you could get the knowledge, you'll have a greater understanding, right? And if you have a greater understanding of a thing, you'll make wiser decisions. Those were the three of the four things Solomon asked for, right? Wisdom, knowledge, and understanding. So learn it. I'm not saying go on information overload, but at least understand what's going on and not be afraid. Don't be like in Web 1 and Web 2, where a lot of people just on the sidelines waiting. They were just spectators instead of participators in the space and the growth and the change and the shift. That's all I'm saying, right? Learn it. Whatever you're hearing, do your own research. You have no excuse, right?
Right.
Google might be a thing of the past soon, but maybe not. But we've got Chat GPT, we got Gemini, we got all these LLM learning machines that would give you even more in-depth information. So you have no excuse to learn, right? So that's number one. Number two, this whole talk now we're hearing about DeFi, right? DeFi. What is it? Learn. So this is where, these systems I'm created. Now, you mentioned the benefit for the church or the nonprofit organization, right? I did a teaching on called the talents of the parable of the talents a while back, a few weeks back. I talked about automation, how we can automate yield multiplication, right, for divine financial stewardship. So I'm basically using the whole parable analogy, right? Three individuals were entrusted with talents, right? So two multiplied it, one hid it, right? Because I don't
Yes.
know, maybe he was
Yep.
afraid. The two that multiplied it, right, got rewarded. Now, if you look at the fact that they multiplied and got rewarded, back when God gave dominion of the earth to humanity, right, multiplication was one of the key ingredient. And in the parable, the parable of the talents, multiplication was what was looked for because there was a responsibility for it. So the in the Gospel of Matthew, it talks about the parable of the talents. It was describing the servants, those servants being entrusted with resources, as we are, as every nonprofit, every church, every individual. So when we look at the power of multiplication, we talk about what's expected of us. We could harness these systems, right? We could harness by bridging, I'll say bridging the gap of ancient stewardship, as we've learned and been taught, to this decentralized finance now, and how we could take multiplication to the next level by automating it, right? And that's what this bridge is all about. Is about stewardship principles now can be encoded in what you call autonomous, and you'll hear this term, right? But in autonomous financial infrastructures, and that's what the blockchain provides for each one of us. So if you are I don't know, a pastor, you're an organization leader, and you're always doing fundraisers, right? Like bake sales and car washes and whatever you do to raise your money. There's a new way to do it. There's a way we could harness this new technology, right, called decentralized finance or DeFi, to multiply through what we call, I'm going to use terms some will understand and some will not. That's why I said do your own research, right? Liquidity provisioning, right? Automated, what you call market makers. We look for these systems. Staking protocols is another one you're going to hear more about. Yield aggregations, automatic trading, right? Bot trading. We're going to hear a lot of this because a lot of AI play a big piece in all of this, right? So you can earn staking rewards. You can generate through transactional fees through these systems. You can do what you call arbitrage spreads. We're going to hear a lot about arbitrage trading. So these are terms where your return yields, if you will, can be reinvested to be automatically. Um, uh, the term I use, and I've shared this with you, is your money making money for you while you sleep, right? So money's making money continuously. And it's all done through what we call AI-driven liquidity protocols, infrastructures that can be built, right? And so that's all these systems are. That's all these systems are truly designed to do, is to take, the traditional way of doing things, and we harness this Web3 technology to where
Mm.
now these systems are your quote unquote uh, how should I put this? Uh, uh, it's like automatically allocating like a fixed percentage, right? That goes back into wherever you need it to go for whatever your projects are. It could be rebuilding your church, it's for the church, it's for the foundation, it's for whatever, but it's all automated. All of it's coded, it's automated to automatically do what was designed to do. And that's the power. So we move beyond the whole idea of manual labor to automated labor, right? He let the machines do it for you now. So this is where, we shift from efforts to what I want to call effort-based income to system-based income, right? Or system-based revenue-making machines that could do this for you. And I'm very passionate about it because God showed me this back in 2017 when I started, building these things out and at least writing them down in blueprints of what it will look like and feel like. And here we are today now is becoming a true reality, how we could have what you call asset dominance, right? It's about, we talk about dominion and having dominion and dominion, with the Dominion ecosystem is about having dominion over, not over people, but over
Right.
aspect of your life, over your finance, number one, your health, your mind, your future, your family, every aspect of life, right? Because I look at it this way: if you're facing health issues, what is it going to take to fix it? Well, yeah, prayer, of course. I believe in supernatural prayer. I believe in miracles because I've lived through them. I've seen them with my own eyes. But the other piece is it takes money. So these systems will provide that for you. You want to upgrade in life. You're living in renting a room and you want your own apartment, or you're in an apartment, you want your own home. Maybe you're in a 1-bedroom home, your family is growing and you need a 5-bedroom home now, right? What is it going to take? Money. And money's a tool,
Right. Yeah.
right? You want to buy a business, you want to expand your business, it's going to take money. So however we look at life, our mere existence in this earth realm is going to take money. So people that said money don't matter, they need to get the head check,
Right.
because there's several things that comes to mind, and a lot of it is when God gave us the mandate to have dominion. A lot of us talk about um, um, uh, kingdom. I was talking to someone, I don't know who it was now, about what is the kingdom and who is the kingdom, right? When we talk about global kingdom impact, what does that look like in a practical sense, right? So it's bringing a lot of the practical and logical ways of doing things, and in conjunction with now with Web3 technology, how literally smart contracts and all this technology could literally, I mean, change the outcome for each one of us. But where I was going in one of the scriptures is in Deuteronomy, where it says that God gives us the power to get the wealth, right? And He's the one who
Right.
gives the power. So it's not
Yes.
like, and so that power comes through, through favor, right? Through divine connections, through all the things that that He's already orchestrated from the beginning of time, to where we now walk into that blueprint I talked about, that for our existence upon this earth, right? So we're shifting. There's a transition, taking place, like I said. So we just got to be sensitive to the season. We have to
Yes.
understand, um, the era we're living in, and we're in the infancy stages of this whole Web3 technology, guys. I kid you not, we are. And so we could use this technology, decentralized technology, blockchain technology. We could use all these systems to build, either for what I call speculation or short-term game, or we could design for, all these systems for what value to the line systems for multi-resource for long-time impact. So these tools, we could do it. We could literally do it. And that's what this is about, Prophet Lot More. As you can hear, the passion is in me because I'm so excited, with what God is doing and these systems we're creating and the lives we're going to change around the world, and then indirectly they're making an impact on the less fortunate, and we're building out ecosystems, and we're just improving communities, building communities, empowering people, and just giving them a helping hand, in the world to get to where we are. I mean, everyone's situation, everybody's going to always aspire to be better, do greater. They're going to look at our neighbors and want to be like them, but we are where we are, and we'll all, evolve, in life. But as we evolve, we can't forget where we came from, and we can't forget the ones that are where we were at one point, and forget them. So we have to be that helping hand, and these systems automatically is going to do that. So people are going to get blessed by the system. A percentage goes back into the foundation, where now they indirectly are helping, give them a helping hand, put them in a position now where they can be financially free. And we keep paying it forward. We keep moving forward. And this is how we're going to build an ecosystem. My vision is where we could live, um, the vision is big, but where we all could live financially free, right? Where we all could
Right.
live by coming together. I give an example. Let's say we had a community of 10,000, right? Well, not if, when we have a community of 10,000, okay, a global community, this DominionHeir ecosystem that we're building out. And let's say everyone just contribute $1. They'll be making thousands, hundreds of thousands through the ecosystem, right? Because it's machines you're building that will do these type of things for you. But
Right.
everyone contribute $1. That's $10,000 that we can make an impact in a single mom's life, or a single dad's life, or family, or someone, right? In sharing that love of Christ, that tangible. We make that impact, right? And there'll be no lack within our community if we all can think that way. We approach it where we're all given a helping hand. We're all sh- expressing unconditional love to the community and helping each other.
Wow. You know, listening to you, it sure is a sign that we will be able to spend the whole day here. But looking at our time, we've used the 1 hour mark.
Oh, we have.
And
Wow.
yeah,
Be like 10
so I
minutes.
think the only solution for this is for us to be here, same place, same time tomorrow, so that we can be able to, you know, hear more about this. And the reason why I want to leave it here is because everything that God has blessed you with, the blueprints, the downloads, they are for a reason and they are for a purpose. And I am grateful that you managed to really transition from the scars to the real you. And now you will be able to do so much impact in the world. And with that being said, I just want to ask, what word of wisdom would you give to someone who's listening to you today? You know, what word of encouragement did you say? What wisdom would you want to leave a person with, just for today?
Mhm.
And where they
With
can start from?
Yeah, I will say this. Since this is your question was more directed to the individual and nothing
Yeah,
else. Um, you know, in life, we all go through situations, right? Disappointments, heartaches, hurts, scars, wounds, disappointments, whatever it may be in life. And one thing we could rest assured, regardless of all that, you know, um, the creator of our life is always there. The God within is there. And the reason why I say that, you know, when God created the world and created humanity, and most importantly, he said, let us create man in our likeness and our image, right? In his likeness and his image. What does that really mean? Who is God? I mean, God's a spirit. So when we look at ourselves in the mirror, know that we're looking at God. What do I mean by that? Well, the God's within us, right? The image is each one of us, you, Prophet Love, or me, and everyone that's watching. When you look at yourself, you are that God, that express image that you're seeing there. Okay. Now, the likeness is the capability that's already within us.
Mm.
Everything that said he do, I saw it end from the beginning. And I spoke this into existence, and there it was. It became. Well, that capability, that ability is in each one of us. We have to we have to learn how to tap into it and pull it out. You see, so we came equipped in the earth for success, right? To be an expression of the divine realm. And so you look at all the greats of the world and what they accomplished. It wasn't like they were anyone special. No, no one is special. We are all equal human beings. Sure, there may be some in society that born, into families that already have it. We call these the ones that are born with a silver spoon in their mouth. Sure, I get that. But guess what? Each one of us have the capability, or we have the ability. It's all in us. We can equip with those tools directly in us. So we just have to know how to tap into it, right? And the only way we can tap into it is two different ways. So I said God was a spirit, and so that spirit lives within us. Okay. And if we look at a human being, we are a spirit with a body, which is the flesh, and a soul.
Right.
Okay, we're made of three parts. So we are literally spiritual beings first, occupying this earth suit to be legally in existence in the earth realm, right? So we came from the spiritual realm into the earth realm, and when we leave, we're going back to the spiritual realm. Okay, so at some point in time, part died, which was the spirit man, but then that rebirth came. Where we had to get spiritually born again so we can start seeing and hearing and connecting back to our divine source, right? So Christ said, unless a man is born again of the spirit, he will not see that kingdom. What is it? The kingdom is within each one of us. That expression of the kingdom is within each one of us. It says God is love. So that unconditional love is within each one of us. Unfortunately, life, systems that we were born in, I can name all the systems I have before, whether it be education system, the healthcare system, the food system, the financial system. These are all just systems that we were born into, right? In decades ago, right? Centuries ago, there were different systems, and the systems change, and we were born into systems, and we wouldn't know any different unless we were spiritually awakened or enlightened to see beyond the systems, right? So all I'm saying is we have to be quote unquote born again in the spirit to see through the eyes of the spirit of what we're capable of. And trust me, each one of us is capable of so much more than we really give ourselves credit for. I shared the spices at the beginning. This was an idea from idea to market. Now, I'm no different than you. I'm no different than anyone out there. Okay. It's just that I tapped into that God-given talent that was already dormant within me. I tapped into it and I activated it. If God saw the end from the beginning and spoke it, then I'm capable of doing that. I saw the end and started speaking it and put an action to it. And that's why Hebrews 11:1 is one of my most favorite scripture. Now, not tomorrow, not yesterday. Now, I talk about living in the present. So now, faith is the substance of things hoped for, but the evidence of things not yet seen. Right. So I'm telling everyone, it's all within each one of us. Everything we need in life is within each one of us. We just got to dig deep in, pull it out. If not, have someone help you pull it out. And that's what I do with everyone, to let them know they're definitely deeply loved by God, and they are special, and they are capable of much more than they give themselves credit for.
Thank you so much, Dr. Steve. Well, to each and everyone, you are loved, and you are much more capable than what you think that you are capable of. And I just want to say thank you to Dr. Steve today. You have been a great guest, and I just want to say it's been a pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much, and we'll meet at the same place, same time tomorrow. And thank you again, Dr. Steve. Let's meet tomorrow. God bless.
Absolutely. You're very welcome. All right.
Thank you so much.
Okay.
All
Bye.
right, right.